My name is Brendan, and I took a side hustle that I started in my parents' basement and turned it into a 6-figure per year business that allowed my wife and I to leave our 9-to-5 jobs and transition to being full-time freelancers with our video production business. Sounds dreamy at first, but in reality, this took years of growing my freelance business at nights and on the weekends while still working a full-time 9-to-5 job. But now, my wife and I are living a freelancer's dream, getting to travel the world and work on our small business together from anywhere. So today, I want to show you some of the things that I learned through that process and how you can transition to being a full-time freelancer yourself. Now, let's get a few things clear from the start. I love the flexibility and freedom that comes with being a full-time freelancer and the ability to work from anywhere in the world. But there are some added challenges when you are a full-time freelancer. For example, I'm definitely working more hours than ever because I have to actively seek out clients, foster those relationships, and at the end of the day, there's no hiding in a more traditional business structure. If I don't put in the work, the income dries up, but the benefits definitely outweigh these new challenges. So I do encourage you to go down this path, but understand the responsibilities that come with being self-employed. It's important to consider the self-discipline that will be required to manage your own workload, the feelings of isolation that can come from working by yourself and not having that more traditional team environment, and some of the soft skills that you'll need to develop to help with negotiations and client management. At the end of the day, no matter how passionate you are about your work and your mission, you ultimately need money to support that mission, and with the fluctuations that can come with freelance work, knowing how to properly budget and manage that fluctuating income is another key skill if you want to succeed as a full-time freelancer. But I'm gonna assume that if you're watching this video, then you've probably already thought about these things, and despite all of those challenges, take it from me, it is absolutely worth it. So let's talk about some of the tangible steps that you can take to help transition to full-time freelancing. First of all, it's important to find and understand your niche, and something I use for this is what I call the 3-pillar test. Pick a niche, whether that's selling a product or offering a service, and ask yourself, do your natural skills and abilities align with that thing? Are you actually interested in that thing? And lastly, and perhaps most important, are there clients and customers out there who are willing to purchase that product or service from you? You can get away by having just 2 of those 3 pillars, but in a perfect world, if you're naturally good at the service that you offer, you genuinely love what you're doing, and there's a market for that service, then I'd say it's gonna be pretty hard for you to fail if you refuse to quit. Next, it's important to understand that your transition to full-time is not going to happen overnight, and what's important to focus on from the start is building a portfolio of high-quality work. This will obviously look different depending on what your product or service is, but in my case, I produced over 100 pretty terrible videos before making a penny from my freelance work. And it helped me test those pillars that we just talked about, since considering I was willing to do it for free for quite a while, I definitely had a genuine interest in the service that I wanted to offer. Again, that's going to look different for everyone, but ultimately, once you've built up a portfolio and you've done some high quality free work like I did, and you're able to get referrals, then you're ready for the next step, pricing. Knowing what your product or service is worth in the marketplace from the start can be tricky, but the good thing is this isn't locked in forever. As the quality of your work improves, you'll likely be able to increase your pricing, and you'll also get more efficient with your time, making your business more profitable. But for now, focus on finding comps for your product or service and aim to be more competitive with your pricing when you're just getting started. Remember, as the quality and speed of your work improves, you can always increase your price. So now that you've got some work under your belt and you've established a starting price for the product or service that you're offering, it's time to accelerate your transition to full-time. Start creating profiles on platforms like Upwork and leverage social media to help you get your name out there and attract new clients. Like any business, consistency and persistence are everything. So when it comes to marketing your business, don't be afraid to try new things until you find what works. So if you've executed those first 4 steps correctly, then you're likely starting to land your first clients, and make sure that you do an incredible job for those first clients because they are going to be the foundation that you build the rest of your business on. You never know how a job well done with one client could lead to countless referrals for future business. And if you're having trouble finding clients or getting consistent work, then I've personally used Upwork both to hire freelancers for some editing and animation work, but also to find clients as a freelancer myself. Tools like Upwork connect freelancers to businesses from small startups to Fortune 500 companies, and in my experience, this has been a key resource for filling my production calendar, eventually allowing me to transition to full-time. Speaking of which, there's no hard and fast rule on when you're ready to make the jump to full-time, but in this stage, it's important to continue working on your freelance business, ironing out the wrinkles, and making sure that there is ultimately a consistent demand for the product or service that you're offering. And I'm not gonna lie, this season is tough because your business is growing, and that's really exciting, but you also still have to manage the responsibilities of your full-time job before making that leap. But with enough hard work and persistence, the day will come faster than you think when you're ready to make the jump to full-time. And when that day comes, it is really important that you leave your 9-to-5 job on good terms and try to maintain a good relationship with your employer, because in my case, and in the case of a lot of freelancers, your former employer could become one of your clients. Now, once you've made that transition, it's so important to keep that momentum going and establish a healthy daily routine from the start, ensuring that you are setting goals and continuing to grow your business. You've worked so hard to make this transition to full-time possible, so continue leveraging tools like Upwork to find consistent work that will allow you to grow your list of clients and live that full-time freelancer life for years to come. So anyone that says full-time freelancing is easy has clearly never been a full-time freelancer. It takes a level of hard work and self-discipline that most don't recognize, but despite the challenges that can come with that transition, the benefits are far greater in my opinion, not only financially if you're able to successfully market your product or service, but the freedom to work anywhere in the world and ultimately decide what you get to do with your day is something that I personally would not trade for anything. Remember to explore the many freelance opportunities that are available on Upwork and subscribe to our channel for more tips and tricks for freelancers in future videos. But thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.